I spend a lot of time with Jesus, and I don't mean reading the Bible, which is a bit tricky for a lot of people to understand, because the minute you hear that name, usually that's all you think. But I don't read the Bible. The Bible's not really part of my life, but Jesus is part of my life, and I would consider myself a joyous and passionate follower of Jesus without the Bible. And that's a bit of a foreign concept for a lot of people, because Jesus seems pretty much trapped by the Bible and by religion and by virtue of association of all of those things. And it's really hard to hear about that particular figure without those associations, which for good reason often come with a bit of distaste. And so that distaste is projected onto a figure that, if we were in truth to delve back into our hearts and our minds and really sink in and say, hey, is what I'm thinking and feeling right now about Jesus, or is that about something else? And I think you'll find 100% of the time, any distaste you might have connected to that name, whether you are conscious of it or not, is nothing to do with that name. It really is to do with the Bible, and it's to do with all of the stuff that has been encasing Jesus for so long. And the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because it's time for Jesus to break free of these shackles of religion and of the bullshit that has really kept the most important person and the most important thing in your life away from you. And in all truth, it is the one thing that you've been looking for specifically on your spiritual path, and that is really the sense and in the framework that my relationship to Jesus exists, well outside of religion and well and truly in my heart of humanity and in the focus of my spirituality. And so to remove Jesus from the Bible and from all of that crap, and to remove Jesus from religion and authority and of oppression and of power plays and of abuse and of all of the things that have left that distaste for us, to remove Christ out of those shadows and out of those shackles, back into light and back into the true light that Jesus was always presenting to us, that was simply ruined by time and by people and by control. And if you can appreciate what I'm saying, you might understand and begin to recognize that really we're not talking about Jesus when we have all of this stuff to say, and we're really talking about the religion and all of the other stuff, that Jesus remains pure and the name remains pure. If you're really honest, none of that stuff is to do with Christ, and you know that. It is just a shame that this is requiring a reminding and an awakening and a remembering for us. For Christ is pure and has remained untouched. And what I mean by Christ is the pure and untouched part of yourself. It is the holy aspect of you. It is what we call the kingdom within. It's what you would call 5D. It's what you would call any of these things. It's the same thing. And that is what Christ means. That is what Jesus represents. And if you want to put the Bible down for a moment and everything that you think you know and reintroduce yourself to Jesus, you will uncover a relationship of learning and of awareness and of deepening and of growth and of transformation that you have not experienced, and that you have certainly not experienced on your spiritual path doing all of the other fluffy bunny stuff and following whoever it else that is that you followed. Trust me, there is so much more to Jesus than you know, and it is again simply because of the way Jesus has been brought forth to us in 2020 that is 1% of what it is, of the value that is available to you, and of the interesting stuff that is present and findable if you're interested. I would invite you to reconsider your relationship with Jesus and reconsider your awareness of an understanding of Christ. Think about that. Christ isn't a surname, and you know it. What does it mean? Feel into that word. Feel what that word means, and I think you'll realise that it has nothing to do with anything that humans have portrayed over whatever amount of time. That Christ remains the holy, pure spirit within you and within all of us, and that is the same spirit, the one united spirit that we all share. The holy fire, the holy spark. You know what I'm talking about. That's why Jesus is interesting, because if you're interested in connecting to your holy spark and to lighting up in that way. There's really only one role model that you should be looking at, and he's been around for a long time, albeit very buried and hidden and terribly put down and hidden from us. But I would like to reintroduce you to Jesus, and if in any way this is connecting with you and tapping into that fire for you, I would encourage you to put a shout out and to give me a shout. I have information for you, and I have things to offer you to show you more and more about the Jesus that you don't know. And I'm not just referring to the lost years and where Jesus was and all of this stuff, although you must consider the Jesus Christ that you know, the Jesus Christ we all know, the public Jesus Christ that the Bible, religion and all things are based on. You must consider that this is a lifetime of 3 to 4 years. This is Jesus from the age of 30, who was not around until the age of 34. It is obvious that the vast majority of Jesus' life remains a mystery to Christianity and the religion as a whole. The Bible makes exactly zero mention of 18 years of a man's life and only focuses on the 3 years. You might want to check into that, even just as a starting point, trust me. And if that interests you, I have the way, I have the direction. Give me a shout. If Jesus is calling in your heart, and if you can feel Christ in your heart and the light of God in your heart, but recognize the taintedness and the bullshit that you might have inherited from people and all of the stuff in your life, and if you're recognizing that discrepancy and you want to release yourself from that crap and reignite that spirit, that light in your heart that is missing from your spirituality, but you don't have to jump into religion to reignite, get in touch with me and I would like to share more with you. I would like to tell you more about Jesus in a way that will offer you joy and freedom and make you laugh at all of the rubbish that you used to believe and all of the rubbish that people still believe. It is the most joyous and enlightening and awakening experience, I assure you, and it is not what you think. God bless.